What's up with everybody? It's your man Mario B.
And Nicole.
And we're back at it. Back at it with another reaction video. Baby!
We have another special request.
From Matthew Main. Matthew Main. He's supporting our channel.
Like super supporter this week.
Yeah. He gave us a video request to check out what race are people from Middle East and North Africa from Massaman. I think I'm pronouncing it right, the channel.
Seems like,
Massaman.
yeah, that's how I'm saying Massaman.
Yeah, yeah, man. The last video we did was definitely pretty good.
Really cool.
You know,
So
Egyptians.
seems like this might be similar, but going into a little more. I don't know.
Yeah, more detail. Yeah, man. I mean, North Africa and Middle East. I mean, you got a lot of people who's black, brown over there. You know, in their region.
Seems a bit diverse.
Yeah, it is pretty much diverse, and a lot of them intermingle with each other. You know, so. You have all different types of shapes and colors. I mean, I say shapes and colors. All different types of colors, man, of people. You have people who's, dark brown, black, lighter brown. You just have a mixture of shades, But, yeah, we're finna dive right into it. When I say thank you for your support,
so
Matthew Main, we're finna dive right into it.
Probably going to be one of the most complicated and nuanced questions regarding race that I've ever raised on this channel. And that is, what race are people from the Middle East and North Africa? Now, normally I describe the Middle East proper as all of the land east of Europe, south of Russia, west of South Asia, and north of Africa. So it would include all of the Arabian Peninsula, Iran, Turkey, the Levant, and the Caucasus Mountain region. However, the region of the greater Middle East that all have ethnic, cultural, and geographic traits in common with each other can be extended much further than this. And this would include Afghanistan, the western half of Pakistan, Tajikistan, and pretty much all of North Africa. The people from this area share a common history, racial origin, but most famously, this is often considered to be the heart of the Muslim world, with the majority of Muslims living in the greater Middle East region. Now, I want to make this very clear, though. Muslim is not a race. I don't know how many times
it's a
religion. Repeated before the mainstream media will understand this. Islam is a religion that Muslims follow, just like Christianity and Christians. Judaism has a bit more complex history of intertwining ethnicity and religion, but that's a video for another day. Most of you know how I feel about Islam. But regardless, I feel like it's incredibly disrespectful and ignorant to refer to someone's race as Muslim.
Yeah, it is.
When there are thousands of different ethnic groups in the Muslim world, and Muslims of every color from around the world. Although there is one place in the world where people identify ethnically as Muslim.
Who is that?
That is the former area of Yugoslavia in the Balkan Peninsula. And that's
refer to
only because
themselves as
they're
Muslim
actually
as a race?
ethnically Bosniak, who are a Slavic ethnic group related to the Serbs and Croatians, but some choose to identify as Muslim on the official government censuses.
Oh,
confusing, I know, but now that we got that out, it's important to note that the greater Middle East has hundreds of different ethnic groups from many different macro ethnicities. I define a macro ethnicity as a larger group that contains several different ethnic groups that have relation to or descend from one another. They range from the Iranian peoples of the Iranian Plateau, not to be confused with Persians, who are a distinct ethnic group from Iranian peoples, the Semitic peoples of the Arabian Peninsula, not to be confused with Jews, the Turkic peoples of Anatolia, and the Berber peoples from the Maghreb. Pretty much all of these groups I just mentioned overwhelmingly follow Islam. So it is understandable to an extent for why someone might think that Muslim was a race at first, but there's plenty of people out there that should know better, but still use the term Muslim when referring to someone's race or ethnicity. Again, it's different for Jews, who are both an ethnic group and a religious group, or an ethno-religious group, but that would require an entire video to explain. Now, all of the people groups that I mentioned earlier do tend to have similar facial features, skin color, hair color, and texture, although it does vary greatly by region. For instance, someone from Armenia, which is commonly considered to be in the Middle East, would probably have a much lighter skin color than someone from Sudan, which is generally considered to be an Arab country, even though they have considerable admixture from sub-Saharan Africans. Some Berber groups from North Africa, especially the Cable people, are extremely fair-skinned, and many even have blonde hair and blue eyes, making them nearly indistinguishable from many of the people native to southern European countries like Spain, Portugal, and Italy.
Right.
In fact, ever since France colonized Morocco, Algeria, and Tunisia, many Berbers have been integrating into French society for hundreds of years. And many have actually hidden their true North African origins.
Wow.
Which brings me to my next point, that because the Middle East really is in the middle of the supercontinent that is Afro-Eurasia, they border many diverse groups. The different groups from different areas of the region are going to have various amounts of admixture from the surrounding racial groups. For instance, Maronites in Lebanon, who are a Catholic Christian ethnic group, often have European DNA that can be traced all the way back to the Crusades 1,000 years ago, when many Western European nations attempted to reconquer the area of the Levant, or they may have European ancestry from much more recent French settlers and colonists. The Tajik people from Afghanistan and Tajikistan are technically the same ethnicity as Persians from Iran, and they speak pretty much the same language, although normally they have much more East Asian admixture because of their proximity to China and Central Asia. The Pashtuns and Balochs of Western Pakistan are actually an Iranian ethnic group related to Persians, but often have admixture from the neighboring Indo-Aryans or Dravidians from India. Most notably, self-described Arabs from countries such as Sudan, Yemen, and Saudi Arabia often have partial African descent from over 1,000 years of the Arab slave trade. Also important to note is that Middle Easterners have been migrating and exchanging genetics within their own region for thousands of years, with many Arabs spreading out to replace the native Berbers of North Africa, and many Turks also moving into territories of the former Ottoman Empire. Possibly most fascinating of all is that there are regions of the world that used to be considered a part of the Middle East because they had Middle Eastern populations, but they were actually replaced. For instance, the Northern Caucasus region in Russia actually used to be inhabited by the Adig people, but they were actually forced down into Turkey by the invading Russians. The Canary Islands in Spain, actually, believe it or not, used to have a native population before the Spaniards migrated there. They were called the Gauch people, and they were closely related to the Berbers of modern North Africa. They didn't disappear completely, however, and their genetics can still be found in most of the people living in the Canary Islands today. So yes, Middle Easterners are a very mixed group indeed,
For sure.
with such a huge variance in phenotypes and physical appearance that it would be damn near impossible to place exactly which country someone in the region was from just by looking at them. For about the past 60 or 70 years in the United States Census, people with ancestry from the greater Middle East were counted under white, which put them in the same category as Europeans and Jews. However, many Middle Easterner Americans protested this decision after the last census in 2010, and they will most likely have their own racial category of Middle Eastern and North African, or
they don't want to be
MENA
considered white.
short.
They want to
And
be considered
just in
their
my
own.
own personal
not
experience,
good.
I found that Middle Eastern people that are Christian tend to identify as white far more often than Middle Easterners that are Muslims, which probably helps perpetuate this myth that Muslim is a race. Oh, and by the way, it's almost impossible to pinpoint just how many Middle Eastern Americans there actually are because of the lack of their own racial category in the census. Estimates range from 3 to up to 9 million in the United States in the current year of 2017. And it's unknown if people of partial descent from the region, such as myself, being 1/8 Galaki and 1/8 Azeri, would be included in this count. So do I feel like it's fair to categorize all people from the greater Middle East region into one single race for statistical purposes? Well, I feel like it's about as fair as categorizing all people from sub-Saharan Africa as black, even though the situation is much, much more complex than that, an issue that I've actually done an entire video on. Alright, that'll about wrap it up. I hope you enjoyed my analysis of what race Middle Easterners are, and maybe learned something new. If you agree, disagree, go ahead and let me know in the comments down below. This has been Mason. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you next time.
Oh, Mason Man.
So maybe it should be
I said
Mason
Masa.
Man, not Masa Man, because his name's
I said
Mason,
Masa.
but I don't
Yeah,
know.
Mason Man.
Who knows how he says it?
Yeah, he said Mason. He said Mason. So I guess it's Mason Man. Yeah, man, definitely a great video. I don't know, man. Like when I think of like Middle East, I always pop in my head like brown skinned people. You know, like people
Right,
from
I
Iran,
do
Iraq.
too. But it's interesting because there's a lot more different coloration and diversity than in the Middle East in general. Because he said that you have like whites like the Europeans, and you have Middle Easterns,
Yeah,
and
but
you have blacks.
I don't never think of Europeans as like Middle Eastern. I just think of like more
I
brown
said
skin.
like that.
Yeah.
He was saying some of those Berbers that are naturally from North Africa, not Europeans, are more. They look more like Europeans.
I mean, like I said, it was good, and you know, him analyzing it and stuff like that.
Analyzation.
Yeah.
It was really interesting. I'm intrigued by like how much he knows about all these races. Like,
Yeah.
He must just do a lot of research and reading on it and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was saying something about the census. Like some Middle Easterns, they don't want to be categorized as white. They want to have a new census, like a new category. So I guess a new box they can check off.
Right.
So they are.
Well, I feel like in the census, it was always it's normally just Caucasian or like,
Black.
African American or whatever.
Yes.
And he's saying that because the Middle East, you have all of those races in the Middle East, you can't really like, you see what I'm saying? So like if you're gonna...
If you come over here and you got to categorize yourself as white. That's
right, like if you
Eastern.
on a census do that, then you're not really accurately counting the Middle Easterns, basically.
Yeah, because if once they come over that's really, really brown, when you categorize them as white,
Oh,
they
I
have
mean,
to say,
I don't
white,
know.
yeah.
I would think they've had like some other. I don't know. I don't know what all was on the census, but yeah. But that's what he said. Now the next one it'll be Middle Eastern, North African. So it'll be MENA. Will be one of the things.
Yeah, MENA. Yeah.
So
he said the ones that claim themselves Christian, they the only ones that categorize themselves as white.
Yeah,
but the ones that's
the
Muslim
Christians tend to say white, and the Muslims tend to say black or color. I don't
Middle
know
Eastern.
No, there was no Middle Eastern.
Not Middle Eastern, but they don't like to say
that.
they don't like to classify themselves as white.
Right.
That's what they're pretty much saying.
It's interesting. Very, very interesting.
Yeah, man. Great video, man. Well, Matthew, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for your request, man. Thanks for being a supporter of the channel, man. Thank you. But we better go in this video. If you want to support our channel, you want to leave us a special video request, click on the link. It's going to be in our description. Also, it's going to be on our video cards. Make sure to check out our Streamlabs. Keep the video on in 12 minutes and leave your link. Don't forget to subscribe.
And thumbs it up.
Turn on notifications. It's your man, Moyo B.
And Nicole.
We're going to catch you on the next one. Stay awesome. Peace and love, baby.